Is muted. Hey everyone, we are live. We are live today. Great to be here again. It's last week, if you remember, I was in New York. Now I'm back in Europe, back in Latvia. Last week was somewhat challenging for me. I mean, I think I went around half of the world. But I'm happy again to be here, and today is somewhat a special session. So it's another session of get to know the team, get to know the people behind the scenes who are working day in and day out with Supliful, making sure that we bring the best service, we bring the best product to anyone building their own brands using the Supliful infrastructure. I see already we have a few people joining. And again, feel free to ask your questions throughout the session. But without further ado, it's my pleasure to introduce Jurgis, our head of operations. He's been with Supliful for since the earliest days. So I'm very happy to have him on the live stream, and I'll be adding him. Jurgis, hi, how are you?
Hi there. Hi, Martin. I'm good. I'm good.
We
Happy
don't
to
hear
be
you.
here.
I think maybe you're muted. Check your mic.
Can you hear me now?
Okay, some technical challenges. Let's not worry about that.
Okay.
Let me check what's happening on your end. We need some technical. Thomas, can the audience hear me? Maybe it's on my end. I should be able to hear you. Yes, sorry.
What
It's
about?
my problem, my issue.
Okay. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. It's all good. It's all good.
Perfect. Okay. Perfect. Perfect. Yeah. Hi, everyone.
Sorry. Yeah, sorry everyone. It was my issue. I muted my computer. Welcome, Jurgis. Welcome, Jurgis. How you're feeling today?
Thanks. Good. Regular Wednesday. Feeling good. Yeah.
Nice, nice, nice. I think I'm actually super excited to have this conversation with you for two reasons. Number one is that the upcoming, busiest season in the e-commerce space is coming up, and we've prepared well. Um, we had good, stable operations, and at the same time, I think there are some Easter eggs in your story that would be great that you share with with anyone listening, and to learn
Yeah.
a bit more about your personality. But I have a bunch of questions here prepared for you. It's going to be super tough questions, Georgi, so be aware. Stay
Yeah.
focused.
Yeah. Let's get into it.
But yeah, maybe share to everyone that is listening in what what kind of is your background, and what led you to join Supliful in the early days, and yeah, and then we go from there.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, happy to talk about my background and all, but if I go into too much detail, just let me know and stop me there. So yeah, Jurgis, been with Supliful for a bit more than 2 years. Um, the story how I got there actually is a long one, and I like to think that all the things add up and lead you in the direction where we are today. So I'll try to briefly run through that scenario how I ended up here. So been born and raised in Latvia, but I've been always kind of looking outwards, looking where the opportunities are and where I can do things that I want to do as opposed to what I can do in where I am in Latvia. So, and actually, when I think about my journey, I think it kind of started when I was 18 years old. 18 was, I pretty much decided that I'm gonna move abroad. So even before finishing high school, after grade 11, I moved to the UK to study there. And I always will remember one question my dad asked me when he was driving me to the airport. I was enrolling into a 2-year long program, and he asked me, do you realize that it's not going to be 2 years? It probably is going to be way more than that. And I didn't quite understand it at the time, and I thought, studies are 2 years, so why would I be longer? Why would I be away for longer? But he was right. In the end, I was living abroad for 11 or 12 years.
Yeah, ask your dad basically.
Pretty much,
And trust
pretty
his
much.
judgment. Yeah.
Yeah. So I did my A levels in the UK. Then I did my university in Holland, in Amsterdam. I studied international sports management and business, and after that, when I started my kind of professional life, then I moved to several new countries. Lived in China, lived in Switzerland, lived in UK again, and next thing you know, yeah, 10 years pass, and and I was still away. But actually, in the end, how I got to print on demand industry and how I got to Supliful was actually, I think, partially due to COVID. So I was at the time I was living in Southeast Asia, and when COVID started, there was a little bit of a chaos going on, and I decided to come back to Latvia. And this was when I started working for Printful, which is another. Well, it's the first Latvian unicorn that there is, and this was my my first experience into like a big e-commerce company and operations specifically. But part of the story that I didn't mention, so I was aware of Supliful a long time before that. I actually met one of the co-founders, Richards, when we were both living in China. So while I was even working for different companies, I always knew what you guys are doing, and Supliful was on my radar, if I can say that. And and then, yeah, 2022 came, and then I joined Supliful, also in the field of operations. My role was slightly different to what it was in Printful, but I like to think that all the experiences are connected, and eventually they lead to one another. Um, yeah, uh, happy
Yeah, I
to
think
dive more into topics.
yeah, thanks Jurgis for sharing your journey, and definitely your experience, your international experience, your experience with Printful has been incremental in making sure we implement all the right processes. We're making sure that all the products get out in a timely manner, both from our facility or from our manufacturing facility. Now, I think people will be curious to know what kind of day in a life look like for you. What do you do? What are your main responsibilities as a head of operations here?
Sure. I think there are, yeah, a couple of different aspects that we have to consider. I think the first one is always the urgent things that come up. You don't really plan. These are not project-based tasks. These are things that just happen. I think we pay close attention to the needs that our customers have, and if there are custom requests or inquiries or things that we need to address, those tend to take priority, because we need to solve them quite quickly. And then the other part is kind of the longer uh, projects. So we have projects that take weeks and months to work on and to implement. So these are projects that, we tend to schedule them on quarterly basis. We set goals for each quarter, and then within that quarter, we have to. These are usually also tasks that involve other teams that, we can't really implement just within the operations team. So that's cooperation with our internal teams, with engineering, with sourcing, with actually all the teams.
Well,
So
you just give us some meat, give us some meat. What are some exciting, projects you're working on this quarter? So that so that the
exciting.
people, or not is the most exciting, but like what you feel is an exciting one.
Okay, meat. Let's talk.
Yes.
So basically, like we know. I think we know what our customers want. So we know that people want, for example, thank you cards in their order, in their packages. We're working on that. We're working on custom packaging. Things that can make the product more exciting in terms of personalization. Same thing with the label, as in label. There are different ways how you can print a label and change the way how the product looks. So we're doing research and we're trying to understand what label materials work better, what look better on every specific product. Basically, these activities are aimed to improve how the product can be personalized, and in that way differentiated from what's ever available in the market.
Yep. These are very good points. And as you just mentioned, so effectively, we want to ensure that these businesses building on top of Supliful can deliver like a fully branded experience, from just like the shipping, packaging to what they see on the website, so that the experience keeps improving over time. Yeah, I think that's great for the audience to hear what we are also working on in detail. Um, Maybe let's talk now. We talked about some meat. We talked about some details. But how about on your mind, what you think are the long-term goals? The long-term vision to ensure that the operation stays efficient, that we are scalable, and that we can best serve our our mission of enabling any business owner to launch and grow their own fast-moving consumer goods.
Hmm. Well, I think for operations specifically, we have to be kind of one or two steps ahead of any spikes in the market. So, for example, we as a company, we've been growing month after month, and that means that also our operations need to scale pretty much month after month, because if we don't do it, then things such as fulfillment time would suffer. So if we are expecting, a 20% higher demand next month, like we need to be like we can't react. We have to be proactive and be ready when that 20% comes,
Yeah.
because if we react, then we're kind of too late already. I think if I look at this year's peak, Black Friday and holiday season, last year we were really kind of limited in how we could scale, because we were in a small warehouse and we literally didn't have a physical space to scale. We could hire people, but we didn't have enough working stations for them, and we were literally stepping on each other's toes. Whereas this year we have that ability. We can prepare better. We can anticipate what's coming and be ready for it.
Yep, and to say the least, we were pretty much in a garage, and we were in a garage, and we had no manufacturer network. So that's an additional way of how we are ensuring that in peak times we are able to have the demand. We're able to meet the demand.
Yes. Yep.
When you think in general about industry trends, about innovation, kind of what are your observations? What are the trends in operations in general in the supply chain management that you kind of find exciting and you think that that would be like something that is going to be implemented within the next 2 years, 5 years? Kind of what gets you excited?
E- Yeah, I think generally operations deals more with the how, other teams, as in, if we talk about trends, we find a trend, and then operations is usually figuring out how part, how we can capitalize on that. So I don't think that, operations is the one that comes up with these things. So most of the time, we already know, we have reasoning established within the company why we are doing something, and then we work on the how part, how to do it. But just from looking at our warehouse and also our partner network, I think the exciting part is like, different forms and shapes, how the products come in. So, it's not just capsules, it's strips, it's drops, it's coffees, it's all shapes and forms, uh, of product. And then of course the personalization part, the product can be put in a cylinder kind of container, or it can be put in a box, or it can be put in a pouch. So those are kind of technical details that excite me sometimes.
That's
Like,
great. That's why we need you to obsess about these details to deliver
yeah,
best
because
product.
I think it's, my whenever I go into a regular retail store and I pick up a product, the first thing I always check is the label, and then the lid, and then kind of compare how, and then try to figure out how do they do it.
Got it, got it, got it. All right, we have one question coming in on Instagram here. Maybe Jurgis, you can take it. If not, I can support you. Why are there so many new pre-buy only products with better ingredients with a 300 order minimum? And the person is just starting. Of course, they would love this to be at an on-demand uh, with an on-demand capability.
Hmm. I'm happy to take it. So basically, uh, as everybody I guess knows, so basically we work on generally product, like we make every product on demand. So that's why there is no minimum. We have products in our warehouses, and whenever the order comes in, we only then prepare that product. Pre-buy products are different in that sense. So this is something that we can do, but we don't have it yet in our warehouses. So that's why you see a larger minimum order quantity. That's why it's not going to be ready in 3 days. It's going to take several weeks for you to introduce that product. And pretty much it's going to be a product which is not on the market yet. Like if you take that product, you will be the first person with the, well, not the first, maybe you will be the first person, I don't know, but there will not be as many competitors for sure.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And on top of that, it's like what we are seeing. If we're seeing more and more requests for these pre-buy products, we, the probability of us introducing them into the on-demand or just-in-time manufacturing pipeline increases. So and there is no like Icar, there's no specific timeline for those products. We keep monitoring what is the level of the pre-buy, and on top of that, we are, to be honest, working on a new feature. Um, if we have enough hands on deck in the first quarter, it most likely will be deployed, where you'd be able to like say, okay, I'm ready to vote and purchase 10 orders of these products, and you would actually purchase them. And we say that, and then we would collect from all the businesses that are using Supliful, like smaller order amount, order quantities that would meet that minimum order requirement, and then we would actually place the order and prepare it. So, meaning that you'd be like, there'd be, for example, 10 different businesses actually buying into that product, and we would prepare for those 10 businesses this 300 orders, and split it up accordingly as you purchase this. I hope it makes sense for you, Icar. But this is a one thing feature that we want to implement. It's not live yet. Um, yeah, thanks, Jurgis, for providing that extra context. It's super helpful. Um, I mean, most likely, as running the operations team, you must have a relatively stressful day to day. And how are you balancing, your personal life and the demands of such a role?
That's a very good question. That's a very good question because I think especially startups, it's not like if you work in a company that's been established 20 years ago, most likely, you're hired for a specific role and you do a specific job. But with startups, like we have to do a wide variety of tasks, and it takes a lot of self organization and actually also self um, prioritization. You have to understand which tasks are time sensitive, which are important that you have to do right now, and so on. So it is definitely, I'd say, challenging. What helps me is sports is a big thing. I do action sports. I do kiteboarding. I do skydiving and other sports. These are kind of sports which when I do them, you can't really think about anything else, and I love it. It's uh, yeah. Another thing I can mention is reading. Reading helps as well. Uh, just for that reason that it's impossible to read a book while thinking about order fulfillment time because you're not reading anything. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Reading a book, and then in your head it's like, okay, what is the order fulfillment time? The clock
yeah,
is ticking. Or skydiving, doing some high skydiving or base jumping, and constantly thinking about, yeah.
yeah, yeah. So
Not
it's good
possible.
to switch, to switch off or switch basically focus to a different thing.
Yes, yes, definitely. It's helpful. I find it myself that sports, um, activities, and something that is maybe physical hard really lets your mind off and wonder on kind of other things that are not related to work. I mean, you've been in these operations for already many years, and what would you say is the best advice for someone that is looking to join this space, that is also excited about fulfillment operations? What advice would you give to that person?
Very, very good question. Very good question. Uh, like I think operations is definitely not the department which uh, let's put it like this: operations will be in the spotlight when things are not going well. When things are going well, then probably nobody is going to notice that you're even there because that means you've done your job good as expected. We in operations we always talk about SLAs or service level agreements. That's something that we commit to deliver, and that's your baseline. You have to meet that. If you don't, then you're going to be in the spotlight and everybody is going to know that you're struggling with this or that. So just understand that part. It's That's important. Uh, but what else? I mean, I think the good part is that it's a super wide spectrum of things. It's not just warehouse, for example. Like you have the opportunity to design not just so the process, the physical layouts. You put that together with humans, and it's a wide spectrum that you get to work with.
And
It's
software, don't
and
forget
so
software.
yeah. So for me, it doesn't really get boring, and that's important. Like,
Good points, very good points. So, pretty much the advice is to be ready, be open minded. There's a lot of moving parts, and learn as much as you can and stay boring. Because if you're staying boring, you're successful.
yes, and expect that it will not always be smooth sailing. It
Yeah.
will. It's we talk also about spikes quite a lot, and spikes in demand. You can never detect or expect a spike, and when it comes, things will break most likely. And it's about how you react to those situations, because they will happen.
Yep, yep. That's a very good key lesson learned to share with any aspiring new young person or buck looking to enter this space. Now, um, let's get into maybe some fire questions here, as we are already you are just approaching the end of this 30-minute live stream. As I told you, it's
Goes quick.
it goes by fast. So when you think of operations and in general of Supliful, so we are kind of this two-sided marketplace or two-sided platform that brings these people that want to launch brands together with anyone that is producing a product in the fast moving consumer goods space. Now, what do you think is a bit more or is difficult? Is it generating the demand or operating or supplying the demand?
From my personal perspective,
Yeah,
or
from your own, what do you just generally think?
I mean, for personally, from my perspective, of course, it's always challenging to stay up to pace with the large number of orders that we need to serve. But I think for our brands, it's important to realize that all the work that you do in the beginning, when you think about design, when you think about products, when you put together your catalog, and when you finally publish it, that's only the beginning. That it's not like, oh, I've completed this project, and now let's see the orders coming in. That's pretty much the start only. And uh, it's a hard hustle. Like, you have to be able to work constantly and provide value to your audience. If you can't provide value, then it's going to be difficult to compete with others that do provide value. uh, I'm not sure if I answered your question, but
Yes. I think you answered the question very well. Some quick, very questions. So, what is your favorite software tool?
Notion.
Let's go. Yes, a favorite book.
uh, hmm, Good question. I just finished listening to the book, which I found very inspiring. Actually, it was a book uh, by David Goggins, and he
Mm,
talked about his like obsession and intense determination to do something. And I really liked that he emphasized. So whenever basically you feel that you've reached the limit, you've actually only reached about 30 or 40% of your abilities. and he shows that by like hardcore physical proof. Like, in the book he talks how he was running marathons with broken ankles or knees, and that kind of shows it. When you think you're done, you're actually like only halfway there. And yeah, that resonated with me, just
Yeah.
continue.
David Goggins is a crazy character, but I think a lot of us can learn from him. And at least if we do not go as crazy as him, but as at least if we push the bar even more, if we get even more out of the comfort zone, and then we realize how much we can actually achieve.
Yeah.
Now, I think we're pretty much at the end of our live stream, and one last question for you is: if you could streamline one thing in the our operations instantly, like, and it's done, what would it be?
Mm, if I could streamline, I think clear forecast. If we know what we need to do, we can execute at 1000%. The all the not all the issues, but issues arise when people don't, not people, when brands that work with us uh, don't communicate with us and expect that they can just drop a massive amount of orders or volume without any prior communication, and everything's going to be, smooth sailing. If I could just have if I could see like 2 weeks in the future, that would be minimum 2 weeks. The more the better. But that would solve a lot of our issues.
Yep. So now then, let's go build a time machine
Yeah.
and start traveling in time. So thanks everyone for joining.
Yeah.
Thanks Jurgis for joining in. This was our episode 23 or 24. So already 24 or 23 live streams in the books. And catch us all at the next one next week. And again, Jurgis, thanks for joining in.
Thanks, and have a good, productive holiday season, everyone.
Yes, exactly. Thanks everyone.